Hey, what's up, party people? So, some sad news to start off tonight's party with a moment of silence instead of some blaring music and honking horns. Um, Thomas Bearden, damn, Thomas Bearden passed away. Man, they're dropping like flies. This is sad. Huntsville, Alabama. This just happened on February 3rd. So this was about a little over a week ago. And Thomas Bearden, in case for people who didn't know, was a guy who released a number of videos and had a website and a bunch of other literature, and that accumulated quite a large following for a number of years among experimental enthusiasts and other interested scientists into the phenomenon known as scalar waves and scalar wave technology and scalar wave um, interferometry and other types of time domain wave interferometry. Uh, but very interesting, very interesting man, very interesting life, and it's quite a bit to get into. I wish we could almost get like Jeremiah on here and some of these other guys to really. I'm sure we could put a panel together for Tom Bearden. Tomorrow is APEC again. 212, the Casimir effect, plasma vortex, and gyro propulsion. So we're gonna have it's gonna start a little bit earlier than our typical APEC. So this one's gonna start at about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 10 a.m. Pacific Time. With Dr. Fabrizio Pinto talking about the Casimir effect. And he'll be discussing the Casimir effect, which is a physical force acting on the macroscopic boundaries of a confined space, which arises from the quantum fluctuations of the field. It basically damps all the other fluctuations, except for the frequency, which resonates with the distance between the plates. And there's ideas of using possible applications of this effect for propulsion. And I have a lot of interesting theories and ideas about this myself. This is something that's been thrown around a while. These metamaterials that were supposedly recovered from these UFO crashes are these layered nanomaterials, which apparently act as terahertz waveguides, and that these waveguides form a shell around the surface structure of the craft, and that this creates a Casimir effect boundary condition in the near field, which can essentially warp the space-time continuum in the locality around the craft and the close proximity of the craft, which is, one of these ideas that's been thrown around since the 90s, and we know that is the basis of a lot of the research that has been done. I mean, not a lot of the research, but some of the research that we could verify and identify. But anyways, we'll talk about some of that stuff and more as more of these scientists who are experts in these fields come out of the woodwork to share their knowledge. We have Mike Melia after that, and on inertial propulsion experiments. And excuse me if I'm not saying these names correctly. A retired mechanical engineer, Mike Melia, will present a new approach to inertial propulsion and will discuss a video showing a proof of concept prototype. As will be seen, a primary drive is delivering perpendicular rotation, and in normal circumstances, any peripheral force generated by this movement should manifest itself within as part of this rotation. But contrary to this drive is visually creating linear thrust that is emanating at a 90-degree angle to the direction of rotation. So, yeah, I've heard of some ideas and concepts of using this before. It would be great to see some theory as well as experiment. That would be interesting. Michael McDonough, plasma vortex propulsion. Michael McDonough, it will be discussing a device that utilizes a sacrificial anode, which is eroded into self-compressing plasma vortex to create into a self-compressing plasma vortex to create a low-energy nuclear reaction, LENR, form of fusion that can be used for energy generation. He'll be discussing the method of operation, test results from past experiments, and possible methods of propulsion based on this technology. So this will be quite interesting, and these self-compressing plasma vortices are essential, I think, because it's related to these supercavitation bubbles that have been studied by these. It started with at NASA with Lake Marabou, and the directed energy using directed energy weapons or these high energy microwave lasers to vaporize the air in front of these hypersonic missiles, so that they could become they could break like Mach 8 and Mach 9 and Mach 10 and stuff, and go hypersonic. And the way they did that, when they started doing that, they were basically creating these supercavitated bubbles where this supercavitation effect occurs in the area in front of the nose cone of the missile, so that it can literally fall into this vortex that's created. And man, I wonder if YouTube's banning this video because it's titled the honk and everything. We're probably low ranking in the algorithms, but so please smash that like button on your way in and help us out. Mike Gamble, differential gyro operation and CMG operation, presents a follow-up on Mike's previous presentation, the history of Boeing CMGs, which was presented earlier at APEC after presenting the history of Boeing CMGs at the COFI conference. At the chair, Tom Vallone encouraged Mike to actually build a small working demo model based on his past gyro work. The presentation, part 1, documents his initial year's research, fabrication, and testing of that first demo unit, and it will include his usual in-depth mathematical system design and analysis. I'll send a note to Tim to change the tense of this from me and my to his and him. Mark Sokol will be giving us some lab updates, but we'll give you a sneak peek into that here tonight, as Mark is in the queue. And hey, Mark, you can say something.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we're setting up the waveguide right now for the Alzheimer's experiment. You can see here on the top left of the screen, that is a fiberscope that I have right over here.
Oh yeah, that's so you can see inside the chamber without frying the camera or any electronics.
Yep. And the main screen is one of the GoPros that we have inside the Faraday cage. We actually have 2 cameras set up right now.
This is a sacrificial GoPro?
No, we're not sacrificing any GoPros. They're hopefully they're going to last.
Is it shielded in any way, or is it like prone to being blasted by microwaves while under test?
Well, you could see the one across on the other side, the one that's not on right now. That's the kind of shielding setup we have on them. It's covered in copper, nicely grounded. Also the wires, the live feed wires that are coming out of it, the HDMI and USB cables, they're heavily shielded. And the window that the camera looks through has a thin layer of metal on it. So it also absorbs RF. And but we have had them cuddle out, during live experiments, but no damage so far.
And this looks like a pump in the center with some refrigerant liquid running to a.
That's to the electromagnet. Tom, you want to go move the camera around a little bit?
Yeah.
You're going to run inside the Faraday cage to show you current setup we have going on right now.
With some fans on it. Yeah.
That's to keep the electromagnet cool as we're running it.
Is that big sucker that you guys got? Why don't you? Oh, can you move that and show us? Oh yeah, show us the.
There it is.
Give us the full experience. You got to see the jugs on this thing.
That thing weighs as much as a small car, and getting it in there is kind of a task. We did that earlier. If you look closely, you can see there's some shimming iron bits that are for adjusting the magnetic field. That's right at the very end of those two cones in the center. And that was based off of a magnetic profile that we made and put into Excel, and we made a parabola out of it, and we're able to CNC out little pieces of iron plates that shape the field. So they're basically magnetic lenses. And this chamber that I'm holding right over here fits inside over there. I was just fitting in a thermal imaging sensor using a Germanium window inside the chamber. So we're going to be able to see the temperature of the sample, because we've had problems in the past where the samples would heat up and melt the entire sample holding system, which is made out of PETG plastic. We knew to shut off the experiment because we saw smoke coming out of it. So we don't want that to happen again. Here's our thermal imaging setup.
Yeah, those things get too hot, you'll fry out the magnets and the wires in there, and
Yep.
Anymore.
What happened to Tom Bearden?
I have a feeling that it was old age, and that it wasn't that the government killed him for his secrets, as they probably would have done that a long time ago, and we wouldn't know his name. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know I don't know exactly what happened to him, but I'm sure there'll be many a conspiracy theory. This is a note to all the people that make a living off this stuff. Can't wait for Carrie Cassidy to start on with the Tom Bearden killed himself. Didn't really kill himself, or he didn't kill himself. No, I think it was old age. It doesn't say anything about it here in the obituary, and I have no information at this time other than I saw Jason Verbelli had posted it and on another site.
I hope it doesn't become the next Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Tom Bearden's gone, man. That's what's going on here. Tom Bearden's dead. Let me. I gotta show the obituary. Sorry. Yeah, Tom Bearden is gone. We just started this for those who missed it. Damn, that would have been great to have Tom Bearden come on APEC. We got to get these old timers, man, before they all disappear. I gotta think of some of these other guys that I got.
We got Mark McCandlish.
We did. We got him. We got to get a lot of these guys. I have a number of people I got to look up and see if they're still around and stuff. I got to check my old list of names. I have a running list of all the scientists' names. But yeah, this would be key. Absolutely. Let's go back to Mark. So yeah, this is the electromagnet from an old EPR machine.
Yeah, it was used for NMR or EPR. Not really sure. They didn't didn't tell us what they were using it for, but got it off of eBay a while back, and it's one of the it creates the homogeneous magnetic field that we're using for our EPR experiments, which is alzaphan or dynamic nuclear orientation, supposedly creating weight loss inside a cavity resonator. So combination of microwaves, pulsed microwaves, and laminar magnetic fields are very highly oriented and no flux change throughout the field. So the entire sample sitting in, let's say, 3,300 Gauss of magnetism. That's the goal of the magnet. This is all proof of concept at this point. If it works, we'll be able to extrapolate it to a larger device without using such a large magnet. In fact, you can just do it with a coil, but it's a bit more difficult to do it that way. This is the most ideal setup for an EPR an EPR device. That system, that magnet, it's like solid iron, about 3-4 feet tall.
It
And
weighs like 500 pounds or something, dude.
no, it weighs over 1,000.
1,000? Yeah, it's so heavy. It is so. I can't. I know I can't lift it, and it's like
you can't even lift up a corner of
500
it.
pounds, and I can't lift. It's like nope. It's got to weigh more than that. Holy crap! I thought you weighed 1,000 pounds.
Well, the pallet that it came on said like 1,500. So
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get it like moving. I know that, and then once it gets going, it's like really hard to slow it down. So
yeah, we put it on some nice caster rails, rolling it around.
is it solid copper? The spine, is it like inside those black? What is the material like? It's
I
like,
guess the windings are probably copper, but
yeah,
most of the weight is iron.
But then there's this big iron shell,
and there's a base to support it too.
What if we took the iron shell out and we replaced it with the laminated metallic glass cores?
Laminated iron, those only give you those improve the response time and the specs of regular transformers. So when you're dealing with an AC field, they can transfer the energy from the coils from one coil to the other more efficiently with less losses. For laminar magnetic fields, solid iron is the way to go. That's why it's built this way.
So this is the other thing too, is it's like we're trying to beef up the ability to deliver a magnetic field into a point, right, and get a laminar magnetic field on a certain point in order to affect the spintronic states of these quantum states. Wouldn't it be easier to just look for materials that are easier to manipulate those spintronic alignment states?
Well, that's another thing that we're doing. We have lots of different samples with various materials to try. The main issue is that if you have a sample that's sitting inside of a highly variable magnetic field, the spintronic state will change based on the magnetic field strength throughout the sample. So it needs to be highly linear throughout the sample space. Otherwise, you're not going to just have one frequency that you need to hit it at. You'll have several frequencies for different parts.
Yeah. So several frequencies for different parts.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible to achieve NMR or EPR without a homogeneous magnetic field.
Do you
NMR
think
is actually
so you have all these? Remember we were at Sandia, that place that gets all their used equipment from Sandia and Area 51 and all these other places that are out in the New Mexico desert, that basically all the surplus equipment goes through a couple of these. I think he's one of the few. I don't know if there's any others like him, man, but that was like a key find at that place because we found all
Yeah.
the different frequency um, frequency generators for all these different crazy bands, stuff that you can't ever get like anywhere.
Yeah,
And
and we got them all. They actually they sent us the whole range from 400 megahertz to 12 gigahertz in
but it doesn't
several
go up to
units.
terahertz.
No, terahertz is actually light. If you're up in 460 terahertz, that's
Hmm.
light already.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, it starts getting into infrared, but below infrared, in the sub-infrared terahertz range, there's this place called the terahertz gap, and that was one of these unobtainiums that has been forwarded for where we're going to find the frequency that mediates gravity or whatever supposedly.
I don't think there is a frequency that mediates gravity, but I guess there's always going to be an unobtainium.
Frequency that it's all generated, that it's all mediated on, and that's like it's kind of like the median frequency. It's right in the middle of the spectrum, I'd say. Infrared and visible. If you go all the way up through microwaves to X-rays and gamma rays and stuff, those are super high energy, and then you go down all the way to UHF, radio UHF, and ultra low frequencies. You get into like those super low ranges, but there might be like this middle cutoff point right in the middle that just that kind of mediates or controls gravity, and kind of, but I don't know, maybe it's
The
all
um,
frequencies.
the terahertz gap is it's an engineering challenge, but there's nobody who really wants to that I know of, at least, that's actually trying to fill that gap because they don't know of any known uses for it. But you can technically make a like a vacuum tube style system, signal generator. You'd also have to make a spectrum analyzer to know whether you actually made the that frequency, but it is possible.
Yeah,
3 millimeters to 3 micrometers. It is possible to make a 3 millimeter, antenna or a gun diode at uh, at 3 millimeters, and you'll get that frequency.
right. And so in optics, there's this phenomenon called total internal reflection, and it happens when you have two layers of material where one layer is a real lower refractive index and it touches up against another material with a real high refractive index, you know and
If we can get Aidan Schaefer on here, we were actually having a conversation just about half an hour ago about making a metamaterial that will operate in the gigahertz range,
mm,
similar to what they did at Project Skyvolt. And it should create a repulsion effect, and you can make an object fly just by hitting it with microwaves. It's a
yeah,
sort
well,
of double
that's
C antenna.
some of Lake Marabou's research and that stuff, but I think you can get into these materials where you can do it at much lower energies by sort of faking out the space-time continuum, or how the near field interacts with just the whole spectrum, and the light outside of the object in a whole different way.
I see a couple people in the chat are talking about bismuth. So we actually have a pretty cool sample that we're planning on running perhaps tomorrow. So this we call this the milli saucer. It's basically aluminum sheet that was bent into the shape of a saucer, but in the center of it is a puck of pure bismuth.
What's interesting is that bismuth is naturally a fractal crystal, but fractal crystals in themselves are super interesting, and fractal arrangements of metallics or fractal anything have a lot of remarkable properties across the board. So it's just one aspect of a broad range of materials science that's we have yet to really understand. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh yes, I was saying that we have actually a little sample that we're running. This is sample 74. We call it the Millie Saucer project. We created a die to shape aluminum into the shape of a saucer, and in this particular experiment, there is bismuth melted into the same shape in the center. So this entire thing is chock full of bismuth with aluminum on the outside. And this is one of the experiments we plan to run inside this waveguide, which is going to be inside the electromagnet.
So it's all about the cooling, apparently, according to Moz. You know, so it's like
Yeah, for
fast
crystal
cooling
formation.
yeah, man. I've been up. I've been tired all day, man. I'm definitely dead. Totally dead.
Yeah, we got a big data tomorrow too.
I have a big day tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna be broadcasting live. APEC.
With a nice view overlooking the bay, right?
Yep, my I'm gonna go to work and do APEC at the same time, or try to. Let's see.
Uh, what else is going on in the UFO community?
Oh boy, let's see. Well, back to my point about total internal reflection before we move on to that, is that this whole idea is like if you're in the fish tank on the bottom and you look at the top, right? The, the, the water surface will reflect the bottom of the fish tank like a mirror. It'll be like perfect. And the whole idea is that there's this lossless transmission of these waves. And what you're essentially doing when you create these waveguides, these layered stacked materials of different material is, well, one has a different refractive index and one has another refractive index. And what that's doing is creating this waveguide where the waves can just get trapped in these layers. And you create all these different layers so that you can trap all the different frequencies and sort of filter and siphon the different frequencies off. And I think if you do that with enough of these over this proper band of frequencies, then you might be able to make things invisible to gravity. But that's just a theory.
So, what did Thomas Bearden teach us about gravity?
Oh! What did I want to say? So I had that article up. Let me bring that back up. And this one. I'm gonna bring both those. Um. So what was the question?
What did Thomas Bearden teach us about anti-gravity?
Only that he knew of a bunch of projects and stuff that was going on with it. He was 91. Wow, he was definitely up there, man. So yeah, he was, of course, of Huntsville, Alabama. He knew a lot of the NASA scientists that worked on some of this stuff going way back, and I also feel like he might have been fed some disinformation, but again, he's a controversial character in a lot of this alternative fringe science subjects. If you're talking about fringe science and you don't know who Tom Bearden is, then you haven't done your research. He's got some interesting stuff going back. My recall is he was talking about scalar waves and gave a description of scalar waves or time polarized waves, and was talking about a lot of these you know interesting wave theories. without really like getting. I don't think he published anything with super mathematical and stuff. So I don't think he was a super, academic or math guy or intellectual. So, um, kind of, but he was definitely an interesting guy who knew a lot of interesting people and had a lot of interesting takes and interesting ideas on a lot of stuff. Um, but free energy is one of the things he talked about, and I did want to talk about free energy a little bit and this thing called Maxwell's zombie.
Is that the same as Maxwell's demon?
It's not the Maxwell's demon, and it's not Schrodinger's zombie. It's this Daniel P. Sheehan. So it's not Daniel Sheehan, but it's not the Daniel Sheehan from ufology that a lot of people in UFOs know that Daniel Sheehan. It's a different Daniel Sheehan. And he had an article called Maxwell's Zombies Conjuring the Thermodynamic Undead. All right. And this is E.O. Wilson. Man, I'm so tired. I can fall asleep right now. But Maxwell's demon is this whole idea of this temperature zombie. It's postulated that one surface preferentially splits molecules while another preferentially combines them under steady state conditions, but no account is taken of the fact that these reactions are reversible. Once the concentrations of dissolved molecules and associated parts of molecules in the gas have reached a steady state, an equilibrium should be reached in which the catalyst dissociates and recombines molecules at the same rate, and the relative concentrations of dissociated species and combined molecules in the gas are equal to those that exist in equilibrium without a catalyst. This ratio depends on the temperature and pressure of the gas rather than on the properties of the catalyst. Therefore, surfaces S1 and S2 should both be in equilibrium with the gas, and each should be splitting molecules at the same rate as it is combining molecules. Neither surface should be cooling by dissociating molecules at a rate faster than the rate at which it's combining molecules, and neither surface should be warming by recombining molecules faster than the rate at which it is dissociating them. Having these phenomenon of gas dissolution in the catalyst and the reversibility of the catalytic reactions been thoroughly accounted for, and that's the question. And well, this is the response to him. So he's getting all these reviews from like experts in the field to his original article. And let's go back to the original article then. And I don't know why I can't find the original article here. It should be here.
On another closely related topic, perspiration, like when you sweat and that cools you off, what's actually happening is when water evaporates, the molecules of the water that go up in the air that are released are the ones that are the most highly energized. So you end up with the cooler molecules left behind. Because, for example, when you have a cup of water and you measure the temperature, let's say it's 75 degrees room temperature, there are molecules of water in that cup that are 150 degrees, and there are ones that are a lot colder. There's a large variation, and you're just getting an average. So when the water evaporates, the highest temperature molecules are the ones that fly off first. That's why sweating cools you off, because it leaves you with just the cooler average molecules. It sounds like this is something similar using different materials. Of course, Maxwell's demon is a device that would convert heat directly into electricity.
And then what's this big thing? This raid on Bob Lazar. I mean, not Bob. This whole raid on Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan's like all these people going after him. They clip together this clip to try to blacklist him, make him look like a bad guy, and get everyone to hate him.
Yeah, what the fuck's up with that? You know what? For all those for all those people who have lots of energy to burn, why don't you get GTA 5 banned from Facebook? You know, we have kids playing these video games where they're, you know, get points
Yeah.
for playing with prostitutes and, you know, killing cops. That's good. That's promoted on Facebook. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan said the N word 20 years ago in his sleep, and therefore we should ban him. Like, seriously, what has happened to our
Oh,
society?
there's been a big crackdown, so they've been going across Spotify and making them take out the big disinformation episodes, and then they blacklist. So certain episodes have been disappearing, and I swear, like they got rid of Tom DeLonge, so that was one of the first to go. Even way back when. They've gotten rid of so many. If you go back over the records of what they've gotten rid of, you know, it's man,
Well, the
people should
problem with the left is they end
just
up
keeping
consuming
track of all
themselves.
this and just saving it all, man, because it's just crazy. But apparently they're getting rid of all this stuff because it's misinformation. But yet number 13 and 15, Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell is still up.
Ooh.
Explain that. If they're getting rid of misinformation, man. So he said that element 115 could be weaponized, and that, you know, this FBI raid, it's all a bunch of, you know, oh my God.
Gosh.
Come on. Come on, Joe Rogan. It's just I don't even want to get into it. It's just a big
I
mess
think
of
his apology capitulated to the left and made him weak.
and I don't get hey old man, look at my life, you know. I'm a lot like you were. And Neil Young and started all this nonsense with the Spotify thing. And it's like keep on rocking in the free world, except, you know, I don't know. I don't know. He's kind of lost touch. Feel like don't know
He
what's
had a
going on.
great episode with Jordan Peterson the other day.
Joe Rogan, yeah,
If you,
He went like three
you want
hours.
to listen to somebody for ethics or ethos, listen to Jordan Peterson. That guy's pretty sharp. Strong Canadian accent too.
Yeah,
Which brings us to the freedom march that's going on in Canada right now. Truckers trying to save their country. Any news on the Galileo project?
I don't know, man. Like I'm trying to like figure out what's going on with them and why they hired all these, you know, they got a lot of these guys on board and everything, and you know, I'm questioning a lot of that stuff now. What's going on with
I mean,
Galileo?
it sort of calmed down. Like we heard lots of hubbub in the beginning, but now it looks like they're in the building phase of whatever they plan on building. Um, hopefully,
Right.
we'll see hardware soon.
We'll see. I don't know. It's just
Or
I'm not
maybe we
sure.
won't.
I think we got to go straight for the jugular. I don't think we're that I think that the Air Force, if they were of any intelligence, AFIT and NASIC would have, you know, already done what the Galileo project has done back in the 70s and 80s, and been doing it since then, and have the access to that information. If I had the resources that the Air Force and the Navy and all these organizations did, I would have all that stuff, and I'd have it all keep super secret. Nobody would know about it, and all that data would just be, you know, somewhere else. And yeah, like, and then I would create a group just like TTSA, just like the aviary, and I would release it to, you know, a bunch of, you know, UAV and drones and stuff, and pretend like it was real UFO stuff, and you know, center around a fake program that was satellite, out completely outside and not connected to any of the real shit, so that it would, you know, be safe, and I could run this disinfo op, and that's
Oh,
how
you
I
got to
would.
read this scope. they're pretty interesting here. That they're saying that this is about known physics. They're not looking into anything alternative. No electromagnetic signals, and it's basically supposed to be a complementary project to SETI, which was turned out to be a big fraud in that last stream you did.
We got to join the DARPA open catalog and start, getting involved with DARPA, man, because I swear all the good guys, they're all getting old and retiring or dying, man. And it's just like we gotta like lead the charge with these new cats and bring some fresh ideas and there's tons of grant money out there, man. We get hooked up and we'll just have like funding for all these different experiments. We can just do a million different things.
Yeah, we've been running experiments this all evening. Actually, right now we're in the middle of setting up for a new, for a much higher power setup, and hope to have it ready and running during the APEC tomorrow. So keep a pin on my video stream when we have an experiment going. You'll be able to see the scales moving and whatnot. Trying to use just analog scales, get rid of.
Get some people from Canada up in here, man. I want to get some more Canada people so we can.
Let's get a trucker. Wayne, are you up? No, he's with the kids right now.
No, maybe we're gonna throw the after party, guys. I'm gonna shut this down. I need to get some rest. I'm tired as hell, and I don't want to go long anyway. But yeah, stick with us, and guys, check out. That's the StreamYard link if you guys want to join, and come on and hang out. And
quick question before you end: how does the Canadian Prime Minister have caught COVID twice yet been vaccinated 3 times and yet claim they need it? I just don't get it.
It's science, man. Don't you know?
Right? Trust that science.
Science, dude.
3 times you get 3 shots, you're gonna catch it twice. That's the science we're supposed to be taught, right?
Listen, the science is run by pharmaceutical companies and big pharma corporations that only benefit from selling you medicine to treat your sickness. So they want to make you sick. They want to ensure that you're sick and you stay sick, because that way, I mean, that's what benefits their market model. If you really break down what their market model is.
Yes, sir. You got it. There's never a cure. It's only a treatment.
And this is just the epitome of what it gets to when you let it get like grossly and ridiculously and unchecked and out of control in your society, and let a media machine that's completely willing and lapdog to any kind of advertiser that wants to throw billions of dollars in their face that they're making off of this, science or whatever it is that they're pushing, and I don't know. It's just a shame that there's no money in cures. There's no money. There's money in treatments, and there's money in medicine and continued, peddling of poison and stuff. It's ridiculous, and you watch some of those documentaries, like if you really want to get into it, because I thought it was just like, I thought I was being super scientific by saying, all these people, these idiot anti-vaxxers are just rejecting all the science and they don't know anything about science and stuff. But you really start looking into some of this stuff and it's like, wow, go watch the movie Vaxxed. Go do some of the, ignore the guy that's, the fat guy that's talking and making all the points. He's like the guy that made the documentary and he throws himself in there and, he's loud and obnoxious and stuff. But the doctors that they show and the doctors that they interview that were involved with all of it and the way that they follow the money and show how they, went in and decimated the populations with this poison that they were peddling, and it was all about the money, and at the end of the day for the top executives, and not about the health, and it'll just make you it'll make you sick, man.
Right,
So
that's their goal. Definitely not to cure. And you think there'd
yeah,
be
man, why would you trust them?
society, right? It's like it makes
There's a
no
fourth
sense
candidate,
other than corruption.
Johnson and Johnson. I don't know. I have a different view of this than some guys are like, oh, it's whatever, and then some are like, this is pro science, and that you're being anti science. And I think it's anti science that we're like burning the book, and then banning and people on Spotify, and just going viciously censoring outright other views of this, that no one can hold any other view to what this is. It's like it's like the, I don't know, you could take it to all these extremes.
It's
Like,
just definitely not science.
well, there's other things that are definitely not science too, but this is closer, like spike proteins and RNA, and that they kind of figured, if you listen to Robert Malone, and they kind of, how the science was developed for creating these vaccines, like how it all works, what they were trying to do, and what they're trying to, they're basically gene editing, and you to have these immunities in your cells before you get the virus. But there's there's other
There's no recognition that there's natural immunity either. They're
Or
like,
that
it
it's
only works with the vaccine, but the vaccine doesn't work.
herd immunity. Exactly, Mark. That's a great point. And also that it's not a normal, that it's gene editing in the first place, and it's not your standard vaccine. That there's no discussion about that, and that it's gene editing. That's essentially cellular mutation by definition. And what is cancer but cellular mutation? There's just so much that's not being discussed that's just disgusting. But I will shut my mouth and let you.
So the Canadian judges are, slamming their fists down, saying this is illegal and this is not right, and it's just like, no, well, we're the truckers, and we're going to shut down the whole economy. And then there's people saying that this is all going to be, all these people are going to get replaced because it's all going to get, we're going to have automated drones, drone delivery, and we're going to have the battery powered, self-driving truck revolution that's going to come and replace all these.
That's a decade away, but for now,
Yeah, there's still like, that's the warning. They don't have it ready yet. It's not ready to implement, but it could.
This is
a decade away, but they could push it through and really get it in like 2 years if they're, or 3 years if they really want.
This is a civil rights issue, and in the future, in 20 years from now, we're going to look back at this as the great civil rights protests in Canada, and it's going to be looked on just as the same as Martin Luther King's trip
I can't
down.
believe Australia still has like lockdown mandates and curfews and a concentration camps and all this crazy shit, man. It's like total friggin' Nazi Germany over there, man.
1989 for sure.
It's crazy that this was like the plot for and V for Vendetta, that big conspiracy movie, like about the future and stuff, and yet people still don't, like, I don't know, they haven't like dismantled it all like completely. I don't know. It's crazy because the statistics can lie so much, and they've done so much with the funding of hospitals and nursing homes so that they can get those statistic numbers for the COVID deaths as high as possible. And I don't know how. Then other people run the numbers and they say this is the number of people that died. We can trace it, make definitively it was 100% COVID and it wasn't anything else. I I swear that this whole statistics number, because someone's like, oh, 60,000 people died in January alone of COVID, and it's like, well, who's counting the numbers, and how do you know that they died just of COVID, or that, you know, it's like, because
It's like that South Park episode special on it where the police officer shot the kid in the classroom and then they're like, it was COVID that caused it. Mark it for COVID.
yeah, it really is like, it gets that ridiculous, almost that ridiculous when you start like doing the investigation into it, and the people that just like, oh, we're just gonna believe this number that they throw out, and it's like, well, that's, you know, like a high end estimate of, you know, like if we say that, you know, all the people that died of old age that also were in a ward where someone else had COVID, and then but also the nursing homes are getting paid like, you know, thousands of extra dollars if they report that, you know, the patient died of COVID. So of course they're gonna, like, you know, hey, fudge a test so that they can get, you know, more money for the hospital and stuff. And it was happening all over and stuff. And of course, I don't know. It's just it's skewing the numbers, and it's hard to get a good estimate that's like accurate and reliable, because it, and then there's faulty test kits. I remember the test kits came out. There's a bunch of faulty test kits, and then there was like, I even had experiences with the test kits where it's like, you know, I can't believe that the test kits are accurate either, you know? Because I was
Yeah,
getting like,
there was the for the longest time the what did they call it? The non transmittable COVID or something, and then they came back and they're like, oh, actually, it was a bunch of false positives. It's actually only 1/10 the amount of people, and 90% of the positives were actually false positives. I think that came out about like a year ago or something like that.
it's crazy how some of them you see like these places that had, like Gibraltar had the 100% vaccination rate. They've made sure everyone in the population got vaccinated. The same thing with these a couple of these cruise ships. They wouldn't allow anyone on that didn't have a vaccine, and they had outbreaks of COVID on on the cruise ships and stuff, showing that it's like, no, that you're not protected. And then there was all this science that said, you know, you'll be protected. The scientists were saying, you know, rest assured, Fauci, and you know, they had that whole clip. I couldn't find it in time for the show, but they had that whole clip on all the times Fauci and Walensky and those other scientists and lawyers and that lied, basically saying that, you know, selling us these vaccines, and then they shut down the people that were taking the alternative, you
Yeah.
know, alternative medicines like Joe Rogan and some of these other people.
Or even the Asina, what was it called? The one cure Trump was promoting there for a while. And they even blocked that out. And then they were even censoring on Facebook to say you can't take vitamin C to boost your immunity. It's like just face palming how ridiculous it's gotten. It's turned into a cult, and they try to claim it as science. And it's like, are they going to mark and test the cancer rates from this gene therapy experimental guinea pigging they're forcing upon the population? Probably not, because they make you sign a waiver saying that they're not liable for you taking this mandatory experimental therapy.
This is the one where I think it was CNN photoshopped Joe Rogan to make him look green and sickly, so that, you know, he's talking about, you know, instead of like looking like this buff UFC fighter dude, they made him look like he was like green and sickly, you know, so people wouldn't take health advice about COVID from him. It was like, Man, the lengths that they went through for the manipulation is just kind of silly. But
Are the truckers still there in Ottawa?
what's an update in Ottawa? What's going on? And I heard that there's another trucker protest starting on March 1st in to the U.S. Capitol. That's going to D.C. to protest here in the U.S. as well.
It's not just about the vaccine mandate in Canada. Wayne hasn't been able to fly out to the lab here because of all the restrictions. You have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and it's
Yeah,
just insanity. There was another guy from Montreal who tried driving in, and he was having trouble at the border as well. Went down a couple times and just finally gave up. But right now, Canada is an open. It's basically
It's
an open.
revolt. It hopefully is a revolution. And yeah, my dad even was showing me some videos of Ottawa tonight where they are still on the streets. They've got the police.
they're gonna throw it over. They're gonna overthrow it, and there's nothing this little pansy can do. He needs to just back the fuck down and stop listening to his New World Order masters and Klaus Schwab over there before they all wind up in friggin' trial at The Hague. For real. That's
Yeah,
what
I believe in Germany they're starting a actual trial. It's
Yeah,
outside
Klaus
of the
Schwab and the
IFC.
Great Reset. This was all. A lot of people think this was all planned ahead of time, and that they like set this all up and then pulled the switch. A couple of these elite world leaders behind the scenes, including Bill Gates, Fauci, like some certain these guys like plan this.
And see, it's like they need to come clean with the declassification and show that it was a leak out of Wuhan, or these sort of conspiracies will get out of hand. Because it's like, well, why was Gates running a simulation in November? Why was the US military in Wuhan in November? And it's like, well, if you admitted and told the truth, it would all make sense. But instead, we're left picking up crumbs on the dark web trying
And
to figure it
WikiLeaks
all out.
and emails and shit that it got leaked, and now they're just like, yeah, this is. But no, it definitely was related to Fort Detrick. Again, same people that were related to the National Institute of Health, right? Same people that were related to the anthrax attacks. If anyone hasn't seen American Anthrax, it's a great thing to watch. It's a great documentary. Not Anthrax the band, but the American Anthrax or Anthrax investigation. Not this one by the FBI. The American Anthrax.
That was after September 11th, right?
Yeah. So the people that got targeted were Tom Daschle's office, Senator Tom Daschle's office, and Senator Max Cleland, and a couple other number of senators who were questioning the 9/11 attacks and asking too many questions about, like saying we need an official inquiry and we need to look into who did it. Patrick Leahy, sorry, not it was Patrick Leahy and Tom Daschle, and killed 5 people and 17 others. They had to be put on Cipro, like an antibiotic, to prevent. The death, it was like anthrax powder in these envelopes that they mailed to these guys, but they were the ones calling for an official investigation into 9/11. And it turned out that it came from, our bioweapons lab, and they never really, they traced it back to this guy.
Definitely unanswered questions. I'm glad that you bring that up because nobody talks about it yet. It was always like
It's been buried. It's been buried, but it's definitely related. So it's some of the same people that were related to 9/11, but like overtly behind the scenes. And one of the main guys was actually Jerome Hauer. And
Oh, well, the return address for that was in Franklin Park, New Jersey, which is 10 minutes from here.
Franklin, yeah, 10 minutes from where you are. Yeah. So Jerome Hauer, and he was commissioner of the National Institute of Health. He handled the National Institute of Health's response to the anthrax attacks. So he was like the inside man at the NIH. He was the Dr. Fauci during the 9/11 anthrax bullshit. Okay. And this motherfucker ran security at the World Trade Centers on 9/11 for Kroll Associates. He was the CIA of Wall Street. Is Kroll's nickname, and they're like, you want to talk about deep state ties, and National Institute of Health's ties to the deep state that go way back. This is some stuff to look into. But yeah, definitely look into Jerome Hauer and the NIH scandal back there. He's and the whole anthrax attacks thing. It just stinks to high heavens. It's horrible. Unlike the band Anthrax, which is actually pretty decent. I do like Anthrax, and
they're gonna use the clip of you saying that now.
Bring the Noise, with Flavor Flav. You guys know what I'm talking about? Once again, back it's the incredible, the rhyme animal, the untenable D, Public Enemy #1.
Flavor Flav.
I got none.
That's some old school right there, brother.
Heck yeah, man. People don't know. They think I'm younger than I am, but I'm like, then I start whipping out like all this not old school 90s, like early 90s, late
I
80s.
feel you. You're bringing me back to my what were they called? The CD player, portable Discman, the Discman days.
Discman. Yes. So I'm a different kind of Discman now. I want to build a flying saucer, and I don't think that TTSA and Lou Elizondo and these guys are going to do what they promised us they would. Took a whole bunch of money for. Man.
Where's the Bluebird warehouse full of flying cars? The Blue Chicken cults.
Oh, dude, did you hear about the scoop we got on David Wilcox's? Oh, so you know how David Wilcock, the snapper, that was his like code name for the hangar where he bought this he bought the hangar. You can't find nothing on it. He just talked about it on David Wilcock.
Expunged.
Remember we showed that hangar a couple
Oh yeah,
things ago about, he was supposedly building a UFO inside that hangar at that undisclosed location with that dude Ben, and Ben was the guy who we paid money. We wasted basically that $333 to get like a bunch of our own information like fed back to us very poorly, with other crap mixed in. But it was
stole
that,
the money.
it was just bad. We just wanted to see like what he's charging people for this like insider secret space crap, and
shame on you, History Channel. Shame on you.
Oh, all of it, man. Hey, we'll have our day. Don't worry, man. It's coming. That dang TR3B documentary is just a start. It's my first debut in any kind of anything official. So, but he hasn't done a video in a while. It's been 4 months. He probably took all the money that he made from the last sellout thing, and he went on a big giant I don't know.
The warehouse is empty, needless to say, if it even exists.
Oh, Is that Lulu?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, how's it going, Lulu?
Good.
Jeremy, that warehouse is near Niagara Falls. It's in the Niagara.
Yeah, someone, I think Steve Cambion might have done like the research on it and figured out where it was and who the guy's name is, who Ben is, and all that stuff. And it's some aviation company. We won't spoil it here, but should we spoil it? Should I get it? I think I have it. I'm pretty sure I have it.
I sent it to you on WhatsApp.
You have it on WhatsApp?
Yeah, I sent it to you a while back. Check your phone for the link.
Did you resend it to me just
The
now?
actual location. It's near Niagara Falls.
You know, the more research I do, the more I find that we're living in multitudes of dimensional time, and I'm catching the difference in time from like one place to another. You know, more than the global standard one that we're supposed to be following.
Are you talking about different iterations of time that some
This
people
is
remember?
it.
You found
Oh, this is the guy's name, Simon.
Like I'm following on some events that there is no broadcast anywhere other than the people there.
Oh,
You get it? Like, so now it tells you like there's something wrong. Like somebody is like, you know, casting a shadow of some sort, like maybe satellites or something, like no broadcast, you know, zone.
this is it.
Like trying to like eliminate part of
Recognize
history.
that hangar? Niagara Falls. It's Niagara Falls, bro.
Yep. It's near Niagara Falls.
Look at this, the Stavati plant. That's Ben right there. There he is. That's Dave Wilcox's boy.
Is that the
Christopher
91-year-old
Besker.
you were talking about earlier?
Yep, that's the hangar. Stavati Aerospace.
Is that the place, guys?
All they have is a scissor lift. I guess that's for changing the light bulbs.
Oh. All they have is a scissor lift so far, man.
Scientific existence sometimes hides in the smallest of things that you might think is irrelevant, but you know,
that is a
what are you
truth.
guys
that's what's
building?
called encryption. They encrypt things of beyond importance into the smallest of things. I mean,
I could just see David Wilcock flying around with that little zoom boom in there, being like, "I've got it! I've got anti-gravity."
Let's go. Where was the unveil? Where was this revealing consciousness? Which one was it that he revealed this whole thing? It was like about 4 months ago. It was like
Oh, it was on his website. There was a special program where they were talking about anti-gravity.
Was it the last one?
Unedited conversations, basically unabashed self-promotion. To watch an
Find the one where he was in the hangar and showing it off and being like, "We're gonna build." This is great. Come on, David. Was it this one?
Tests on needles, and the idea that when the mass arrests begin, that either because they have to or because it would be a defensive move by...
Dude, they're taking things that I'm researching it, somebody's taking it, and then it goes public. Like, I stack things on my phone, I put files, I put folders, you know, like cool stuff, and then it just, like, all of a sudden, it becomes, like, real. Like I like found this, and there's, like, nobody, I'm probably one of the first people that, like, finds it, and then somebody comes and it goes public. Like, my God, give me, like, some time to, like, put it together, all of it, like, for real, you know? But I'm telling you, it's beyond. It's something like out of this world. How the science of information and data, like, I don't know, like, creates the world. If you really want to, like, think about it like that, you know, the stuff that I'm finding, I don't know where it's been hiding. Like, where has it been there? Or has it just been there until somebody, like, understands where to look exactly for it. Get it? Anyway, but yeah.
Well, David Wilcock knows where to look, man. He put it all together in his seminars, and
He's going to do it with that hanger and a scissor lift. I mean, I guess if you put something on the car, if you put the car on a scissor lift, it'll fly. We'll have our flying cars. Let me take. Oh, yeah.
I gotta find the one where he was in the hangar, and we covered this.
I know you did it. You had it live a few months ago. I was like, that's got to be a green screen, but I guess it is a real place. But man, that was a funny episode of his, and he hasn't been seen in the public since. He just took everyone's money and left.
Did he take it down?
Well, isn't it though? Like whenever they reach the truth, then they just disappear because, what happens after that? Like, what do they become godified? They have to go somewhere else that, in a way, call it transcendence, because they figured out the truth. So then there has to be something.
They're either on Mars or half of them apparently go to China.
You think? I would rather think that, they transcend to greater cause because, they spent their whole life trying to teach something, and well, if they become so good at it, then they might have did their mission on this planet and transcend to a different one. Think of it like that. Like, okay, they've reached the utmost of whatever they could reach, then there has to be something higher. Maybe we don't perceive them, but they're on a higher dimension, and all we see, the evidence, is the scissors. You understand?
David Wilcox, here it is. I'm going way back now.
Any great idea at the beginning will always have a remnant energy of a spark, of that original, why? Like
there it is. Okay, so let's
He looks green screen, does he not? Those people look real, but
that is the identical hangar.
But is he actually in it? Is my question.
He made it sound like he was. He made an echo, and
is it like, did he put like himself as an overlay on top of, like, filter out their voices, and then?
Well, he's working with the same people, so that's the guy in the center there with the little.
Okay, but whatever the reason is, whatever he does, that's up to him. But whatever that information that he is teaching, there has to be some logic sense into it. You know what I mean? Why spend all those hours and all that research and all that time and all that, for at the end to give a wrong message? Like, there are much easier ways in doing that than, exerting that much of energy to give a bad one. Saying.
I just want to see one blue chicken in my life.
I've seen colored chicks. I've seen like little baby ones. They dip them in I don't know what color, and you think they're so cute, and oh my god, they're colorful, but that ends up being some harmful diver animals, and they don't last a few
Valentine's
days.
Day will be over soon, and Easter's right around the corner, so there'll be plenty of peeps, marshmallow peeps.
All the colored eggs.
I'm gonna get some blue marshmallow peeps for you guys.
Oh no, then you'll have a whole cult following, my friend.
Oh, this is funny. So yeah, we figured it out, and the aerospace company, at least, solved.
Isn't science fun? Seriously, isn't science fun? Like, you figure out things that all these smart people before you couldn't, and all of a sudden,
right.
You're like, I did it. Oh, you spent all that much, and I did it. Yeah, Like,
I feel like a lot of it's like is knowing the people too, because you have to know the scientists. Because once you know like the names of the scientists who worked on this and that, then you really just it helps to like.
no, you have to love the science. The people are, yeah, okay, great, but you have to for yourself first. It starts. You don't like, maybe something intrigues your interest, and that spark starts there. Like you want to call string theory, you can use string theory, and and one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden, like you just, my gosh, you see the whole picture, and it becomes like, whoa, okay, what do we do now? Like, all right, figured it out. Then what's next? Like, do we tell? Do we not tell? Do we try to teach to as many people as we can? Like, that we can, get to on that idea. Like, hey, there's like, we could actually achieve like, anti-gravity or propulsion, but truly it's existing on higher frequency dimensions. That's the truth.
So sorry, but sorry to these guys. I'd love to get a hold of these guys and figure out, what's the real story behind this, their relationship with Mr. David Wilcock. Are they really forming an aerospace company to build a UFO?
Oh, come on, it's a flux liner. It's not a UFO if they're building it, but a field propulsion vehicle.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he described. It wasn't, or maybe like using the beetle wings. Like I didn't really see much else out of Wilcox's.
You want to find the truth? Let's go see it.
It's out in southern Arizona.
Anything with making it real. Like, go and see it yourself. I mean, that's one way.
Aiden, that setup, the hangar is actually in upstate New York.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. It's by Niagara Falls.
Guys, I love you in the audience. This has been a great live stream. Thank you all in the live chat. You guys are awesome. If you want to join the stream yard, like we're gonna go behind the scenes and just hang out a bit. I'm gonna shut the stream down though. I meant to do it a little while ago, and then we started talking about some of the truckers and some of the other stuff, and I wanted to at least mention that before we got off, and the science fiasco of the century that's been going on with that nonsense. It's time to get money out and politics out of science, and money out of politics, and money out of science, and politics out of science, and just stop mixing all those things all together, and
I agree.
start doing
like politics and religion have no part in education and science.
Yeah, they enslaved humanity. They enslaved humanity as a whole. They mind controlled people, conditioned people into, taking weird ideas, weird beliefs that, it's like, why do you want to inherit negativity?
They this whole false narrative too. Like I saw what they were doing with the trucker rally, and they brought in all these flat earthers and other like ridiculous people, and then they started sending the media in and filming these people. Like, oh, the Earth's flat, and we reject all science and stuff. And they're like, well, these are what the truckers believe, and there's this fringe mob that just came in, and we shouldn't allow them to affect our politics, and that's the way they're portraying it to the rest of the country. So that it's so manipulative.
I saw more than what you're saying.
It's so ridiculous.
They're saying that the vaccines that are coming, from the north, that the real reason is that there's rat poison in them. And
there's all this misinformation and disinformation that's put out
so
there.
They're refusing, and anybody that speaks up, it gets eliminated, and then somehow you have these like different people that are from different angles.
They're making
it's real.
These scammers a platform and these idiots a platform because it discredits the rest of the people that do have a voice, and that's like the tactic they're using is just this smear campaign, because they can't really attack the information head on, so they have to use censorship bullying tactics, to get the information off of there, get the discussions out of the limelight, and then dominate the conversation, and by using these smear campaigns, so that no one will even listen to you because they just think you're a flat earther who rejects all science because you have questions about the people that put cancer in baby powder that are also making this Johnson and Johnson vaccine. But any case, trust who you want.
There's a lot of truth.
Whatever
The only
science
truth
you
would
want.
be if you
But
validate the
absolutely
truth
right, though.
from somebody
They try to
for real
sabotage
that
these
suffered.
movements.
They try to sabotage the science too, man. They try to say that anyone who says anything else other than the narrative that we speak is misinformation, and now we need to censor that and blacklist it. At the same time that Biden's saying that anyone who says makes anyone distrust the government's now a domestic terrorist for spreading information that
And
makes
at
people
the same time, our prime minister has caught it twice, yet been vaccinated 3 times. And it's like him and his family caught
with
the
saline
original
water?
strain.
What has
But
he been
here's the thing: if
vaccinated
they
with
caught the
saline
original
water?
strain, is
Sure.
that super spreading? Do they have the original bioweapon? Like, can you be vaccinated
No,
unlimited times yet
it mutated.
spreaded it?
Bernie. I mean, that's you got to
I know.
the
I'm just
virus
putting a
has come
theoretical
out.
question out.
The worst part of it was when it hit and combined the different strains combined in New York, and then it was earliest on, so that's why New York was feeling it the worst. But with virology, there's literally a Harvard level class on this. You got nuclear, biological, and chemical, and COVID is biological warfare. And every generation, like it goes through, it kills out the weak, it culls the herd. I hate to be brutal about it, but so the herd immunity develops because those that were susceptible to it or the target of it, they are gone now. So everybody like myself that's had it at least twice plus been vaccinated, we're like, okay, this sucks, and you learn what to do in order to get over it. So
It's more than that, Aiden.
No, it's not. It's life.
This is man-made. This is made in the lab. It's not naturally occurring. So
yeah, I know.
Don't
Don't get me. I
Don't
off all of my friends in Taos talking about it because I'm already 5 years down the road. Like, no, Lulu, let me talk. Let me talk, please.
Sorry,
like,
telling you the truth.
I'm sure you are, but China, you got to go through and read the Art of War. And this is like fire.
You mean this book?
Oh yeah, well, it's selling us PPE,
wait.
like defective PPE at
this
twice
book?
the market
Right
rate.
here,
Oh
in my
yeah,
bookcase? You mean this book, right?
You got it?
Of
Any
course I got it.
experiments to show, guys? We got APEC tomorrow.
You mean this book, right? All right.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Jeremy,
So
I saw that
don't
you
tell
said
me what to go
APEC
read.
starting
Have
at
you
10
read it
a.m.?
recently?
I already do.
We're cross
Or is
talking.
it regular
John
time?
with the waveguide in.
China is not nice. They're already 5 years down the road on what they're going to do with
Communism is not nice. All people are inherently
Russia's 8 years.
No, China is older than Russia.
I sent you a web link to their artificial intelligence that whatever they have for the next 8 years in time. So I sent you that. So don't tell me I didn't send you something pure from the Russian government site. This is in their future artificial intelligence and their projections.
I'm just using what I understand
8 years ahead of time.
China.
So China's 5. Well, guess what? Russia's 3 years more. So.
China is an older culture than Russia.
I don't want to talk about politics. Let's talk about the scientific instruments.
Yeah, exactly. We're here for science.
Thank you. You really, because I don't swing any
Jeremy,
side.
what time does APEC start tomorrow?
It's like 2 hours early.
2 hours early.
It is 2 hours earlier tomorrow?
Yeah. So at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Enough about China. Now let's go.
Well, one thing that is documented is that there were Chinese scientists from Wuhan that were caught in the Winnipeg virology lab in 2018 with a SARS strain that was 96% the same as COVID-19. And that was documented by the Canadian RCMP. That is also something that doesn't get talked about.
There's a lot that doesn't get talked about. All right. Have a good day. And
Anyway, sorry.
Sorry if
I'm
I'm
tired.
tired, no,
I'm
but I
going to
really
bed.
I've been reading so much lately. It's just everything is making
Got the
sense.
second camera. Nice.
Have a good night.
Much love and respect.
I'm gonna get my cord.